EFF leader Julius Malema will be addressing the media following the Plenum meeting to chart the way forward. The party has since taken a stand not to allow the president to address public gatherings in its presence. Let's in fact take you live there now.
Julius Malema, over to you, President.
Thank you very much, members of the media, the officials of the EFF, and the people of South Africa. The Economic Freedom Fighters held its 18th Central Command Team meeting and the 4th annual plenum from the 26th to the 29th of January 2023, respectively. The plenum is a strategic planning meeting of the EFF constituted by the leadership of the EFF from the Central Command Team, provincial and regional command teams, as well as EFF Student Command and members of parliament and provincial legislatures. The year 2023 marks 10 years since the formation of the EFF, a remarkable achievement that is a testament to the ideological and organizational strength of this economic emancipation movement. As an organization born out of the painful struggle for dignity in Marikana, the attainment of a decade of existence reaffirmed the commitment the EFF has to fulfill the centuries-old struggle of fighting against colonialism, oppression, and dispossession. The EFF Central Command Team and Plenum reflected through deliberations in plenary and commissions on how best to mark the historic milestone of the EFF turning 10 years old and reaffirmed the selflessness of the struggle for the economic freedom. Accordingly, the Plenum has resolved that the 10th year of the EFF will be marked as the year for massive political education and voter registration. At the center of all programs and activities of the EFF in 2023 will be intensified political education and voter registration. The Political Education Department will conduct consistent public lectures in virtual platforms and physically with the aim of raising the levels of political consciousness amongst our members and members of society. The EFF political education content will be accessible to all members of the public. Additionally, the EFF has resolved to embark on a voter registration campaign wherein all structures are expected to register new voters on the voters' roll. The EFF has for far too long competed with political parties for a voter base that has not been registered and mobilized to be voters by it. And it is now time to create a new voter population that will usher in a new government in South Africa after the watershed 2024 national and provincial government elections. The EFF is more than confident that the 2024 national and provincial elections will mark a titanic shift in the political landscape of South Africa, wherein the future of the country will change drastically. We therefore encourage all people to ensure they are registered to vote and to be part of the historic change that our country will undergo. This comes after the credible realization that the EFF has grown tremendously over the past 10 years and has now reached a stage where we are ready to govern. This will in the immediate require a deliberate effort to politically educate not only 1 million members of the EFF, but society as a whole to the ideals and principles of a socialist government, so that our people rally behind and defend the gains of economic freedom once it is attained. The EFF will celebrate its 10th anniversary at the FNB Stadium on the 29th of July 2023 in what will be the biggest ever festival of the poor. Society will bear witness to a celebration that will re-energize this people's movement towards the liberation of Africans from the chains of humiliation, landlessness, and oppression. The Central Command Team of the EFF, which is the highest decision-making body of the EFF between the National People's Assemblies, deliberated on a variety of issues which include the annual report of all organizational activities in the year 2022. The CCT, amongst other things, considered the need to recompose the deployment of public representatives to Parliament and legislatures following the provincial People's Assemblies which were held in 2022. Accordingly, a number of members of Parliament and legislatures who occupied those positions on the basis of their political responsibilities they held in the EFF structures will resign with immediate effect to ensure there is alignment between the leadership of our structures and the leadership of the EFF in governance. The EFF take this opportunity to thank all those who served the EFF diligently within the sphere of governance and salute them for championing the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. Their names and their service will forever remain written in history as they continue to be at the forefront of the struggle of our people. The EFF is pleased to have started the year 2023 with a decisive victory in recent by-elections in Ward 10 in Polokwane, Limpopo. The EFF retained the ward and defeated the ANC and chance takers who take the will of the people for granted. The victory in Ward 10, coupled with the remarkable increase in votes for the EFF in Ward 17 in Blauberg Municipality in Limpopo from 302 votes to 953 votes, are further confirmation that the rebuilding process in Limpopo is going well. We encourage all fighters, not only in Limpopo but across the country, to replicate this success as we head towards the total victory in 2024. The EFF reiterates that the so-called just energy transition, which is based on the misguided and imperialist experiment in South Africa of abandoning coal as an energy source, must be rejected. The West and the United States of America in particular must be rest assured that no EFF government will repay the loans they've given to Cyril Ramaphosa to destroy South Africa's coal industry. South Africans must unite in defense of the coal mining industry and lead revolt against the destruction of jobs and lives of our people in service of hypocritical Western nations who are increasing their use of coal at a large scale. South Africa must do everything in its power to use clean coal technologies because we will not be able to immediately abandon coal as a source of energy, particularly for electricity. Moreover, the EFF will host an energy symposium which will be attended by experts such as engineers and individuals with technical experience in energy generation who will contribute to the development of a comprehensive and permanent solution to the rolling electricity blackouts. The date of the symposium will be announced, and it will produce thorough and well-researched insight on how to strike a balance between existing means to generate energy and the use of renewable energy to protect the environment. The EFF believes that part of immediate solution to South Africa's electricity crisis should be plugging in the floating power stations, also known as the floating storage regasification units, which rely on gas and nuclear into the grid. The Russian Federation, the People's Republic of China, Qatar, have capacity to bring the floating power stations to the shore of South Africa to provide dependable electricity. A responsible government must in the immediate start the process of sourcing FSRUs to connect into South Africa's grid. When Germany was faced with the electricity crisis, it connected 3 major FSRUs into their grid in less than 12 months. In the mid to long term, South Africa must engage the Russian Federation to start the building of nuclear power stations in a manner that could build, operate, transfer, BOT, or through sound power purchase agreement that is fiscally neutral and does not drown South Africa's budget. This intervention does not mean that South Africa should abandon coal as a provider of South Africa's baseload energy. These are some of the energy solutions the EFF Symposium will be expanding on, and we once again caution the sitting government to stay away from the erstwhile colonizers from the West who continue to mislead our energy policy. The EFF held with Inkatha Freedom Party on the 20th of January 2023 and 25th of January 2023 respectively, following a relationship between the organizations at the level of local government since the year 2016. The meetings formed part of the need to not only establish stability in municipalities where voters did not elect an outright winner of the elections, but to also create a balance in terms of representation and power sharing in coalitions across municipalities. Following these meetings and the inability of the IFP to appreciate the need to cooperate with those who have given them unconditional roles of responsibility in municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal, the EFF has resolved to cut all ties with the IFP. As a result, the EFF will initiate and support motions of no confidence against all IFP mayors in all municipalities we previously voted for them. This includes Zululand, Amajuba, Utukela, Umkhanyakude, Kinketshwayo district municipalities, and Ulundi, Nongoma, Mutubatuba, Umtlatuzi, Josini, Umtlaboyalengana local municipalities, Denhauser, Alfred Duma, Ngosi, Langalibalele, Abaqulusi, Upongola. We will also make sure that the IFP is removed from all positions of responsibility in all Gauteng municipalities. We have communicated this with the leadership of the IFP and have instructed EFF deputy mayors to resign as deputy mayors and remain as ordinary councillors. The Central Command Team of the EFF and Plenum resolved that the organization must no longer be on the touchline of governance and that the EFF must begin to occupy meaningful roles of responsibility in local municipalities. The IFP has unfortunately adopted the arrogant and entitled posture of the Racist Democratic Alliance and has confused the power it holds due to the support of the EFF as an election victory. The door is therefore opened by the EFF for engagements on how best to structure coalition agreements in the municipalities for all those who are interested in achieving stability and service delivery in our communities. The EFF maintains that the current composition of political party leadership in the metropolitans in Gauteng is informed by white supremacist entitlement. It is illogical for the DA to lead all major metropolitans while not giving meaningful roles of responsibility to any of its coalition partners. The EFF will continue to participate in the removal of the DA across all metros in order to establish governments that will be transparent, accountable, and humble. The EFF will, during the course of this year, be accepting leadership responsibilities of speakers, mayors, and members of mayoral committees in different municipalities. We want to demonstrate to the people of South Africa that we are a party that is capable to governing impactfully, ethically, and without any form of corruption. We have additionally agreed to engage in massive Andri-Statani cleaning campaign where EFF members and ground forces will clean up our streets and public spaces so as to ensure that we all live in clean environments and communities. The EFF Plenum has awarded 50,000 to Councillor Babasibulai from Mangaung municipality for being at the forefront of exposing negligence of the ANC-led municipality of all critical infrastructure, particularly roads and sewer systems. The Plenum has additionally awarded 50,000 to Councillor Mafiamani of Ward 11 Nkomazi municipality in Mpumalanga for the excellent work he is doing since being elected as a councillor. The 50,000 awarded is strictly for a community project that the councillor will choose where they come from. In every month of 2023 and 2024, the EFF will award 50,000 to an EFF public representative who will have demonstrated excellence and dedication in carrying out their responsibilities, particularly those that help our people on the ground. This money will strictly be used for community projects. We take this opportunity to remind all EFF public representatives, inclusive of councillors, members of the provincial legislature, and members of parliament, to increase their momentum in doing work for the people of South Africa and still fulfill their organizational obligation and responsibilities. The EFF Governance Task Unit, GTU, will take detailed reports from all public representatives every 6 months to check if they are attending to their work obligations, servicing the schools and clinics they have adopted, and attending to all matters of service delivery in all communities. Those who do not do their work diligently will be recalled from councils, legislatures, and parliament. The EFF takes this opportunity to congratulate the 2022 class of matriculants once again on their final results. It was a difficult journey wherein many did not survive the conditions such as electricity blackouts, walking long distances to schools, and using pit toilets. It is unfortunate that we must celebrate the success of children who have had to fight against inhuman conditions just to receive an education. The EFF encourages all of those who pass their matric to pursue post-secondary education at universities, University of Technology, and TVET colleges. Education remains the key to personal and community development, and no child must ever give up on education. The EFF Student Command will embark on the Sizofunda Ngenkani campaign in all campuses to ensure that no prospective student is denied education on the basis of their background or economic standing. The Sizofunda Ngenkani campaign will ensure that no student is excluded on the basis of registration, debt, or because they cannot prove they are poor enough to get student funding. We have long called that all those students who are on the database of SASSA and NSFAS and the higher education sector to ensure that SASSA grant beneficiaries are given automatic funding to their higher education and are not expected to perform their poverty. The implementation of this call by the department is further confirmation of the superior logic of the EFF and ultimately will achieve free education. The EFF has taken Parliament to court to declare invalid the irrational decision taken to exonerate Cyril Ramaphosa on Phala crimes. There is no amount of political maneuvering which will make us stop holding Cyril Ramaphosa accountable. The reality is that there were millions of dollars that were found in Ramaphosa's farm, and these dollars were not declared with the South African Reserve Bank and the South African Revenue Services. As a responsible and decisive political party that represents the interests of the people, we will not allow criminal and a compromised president to address Parliament until he is held fully accountable. The economy is collapsing, and the only solution the South African Reserve Bank has for this crisis is to increase the interest rate every other month. The 25 basis point increase to the repo rate is in service of the corrupt financial sector, whose only concern is price stability at the expense of human lives and livelihoods. The continued rise in food prices, inflation is destroying South African homes, particularly for the poor and the working class, whose income does not rise along the daily increases in the cost of living. South Africans today make an income simply to go to work and survive on loans and debt whose repayments costs continue to rise because of poor macroeconomic policy at the Reserve Bank. Accordingly, in line with the need to resolve the immediate challenges confronting our society, the EFF has resolved to hold a national shutdown to demand the return of electricity and for the resignation of Cyril Ramaphosa on the 20th of March 2023. The reason for the national shutdown to demand the return of electricity and for the resignation of Cyril Ramaphosa is further informed by the following reasons: rising cost of living for all South Africans, rising levels of unemployment and poverty of our people, increasing levels of crime, particularly murder and gender-based violence, his decision to close down coal power stations without consultation with the people of South Africa, rising levels of corruption, lack of service delivery, and collapsing public infrastructure, particularly hospitals and roads. Phala scandal, where a lot of criminal activities were committed. The national shutdown means that there will be no school, no university, factories, and no business will be operating on the 20th of March. All municipalities and all major cities will be shut down, and there will be no work on that day. All major roads will be barricaded, and all ports of entry, including roads that lead to the borders, will be closed. The national shutdown to demand the return of electricity and for the resignation of Cyril Ramaphosa will mean that no business operation will be opened on that day, and no truck and no train will be allowed on the roads and railways, particularly the trucks transporting South Africa's minerals and coal to the outside South Africa through Richards Bay. We cannot fold our arms and do nothing when the ANC government and Cyril Ramaphosa, who is involved in a lot of criminal and questionable dealings and yet protected by law enforcement agencies. This is a shutdown. We will call for the immediate end to the load shedding, which is crippling the South African economy and returning this country to the dark ages. The development and industrialization of South Africa is already delayed by the continued misleadership of the ANC, and load shedding is the final nail in the coffin of business and the lives of our people. All sectors and spheres of society are invited to form part of this historic national shutdown, which will confront the puppet of the capitalist establishment, Cyril Ramaphosa, directly and expose him as an agent who is determined to sell the sovereignty of South Africa to the highest bidder. The EFF leadership will be engaging with all taxi associations to support the national shutdown and will encourage all structures at all levels to engage taxi associations and all people to support the national shutdown. We call on the people of South Africa to join us in their numbers for the national shutdown to demand our dignity and lives back. We can never allow and should never allow to be led into dark ages by an incompetent and useless president. The national leadership of the EFF will, on that day of the 20th of March 2023 of national shutdown, lead a massive protest to the Union Building to hand over our demand and instruct Cyril Ramaphosa to step down with immediate effect. We have instructed our lawyer, Victor Nkwashu, to privately prosecute Gwede Mantashe for his corrupt activities with Bosasa. We do so because South Africa's law enforcement agency, including the judiciary, are reluctant and refusing to act against corrupt politicians. We as the EFF will from time to time privately prosecute corrupt politicians who use their power to hide from accountability. As we head into the 2024 national and provincial government elections, the people of South Africa find themselves at a crossroads. The continued rising levels of unemployment, the increase in the cost of living, the rolling electricity blackouts, and rampant corruption and incompetence of the ruling party are all signs that South Africa is yet another African country that is collapsing after the attainment of the liberation. It has become clear that the ANC has no appetite or capacity to lead South Africa, and as a result, generations to come will face the consequences of government that failed to democratize wealth. We call on all people to ensure that they register to vote to protect not only their present, but the interest of the future generation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Commander-in-Chief and President of the EFF, for the decisive line of march. We will now take a round of hands of questions.
Well, that was the EFF President Julius Malema addressing the media there following the party's plenum. Malema saying that the 2024 national elections will see a titanic political shift in the country. Our reporter, senior reporter Samkele Maseko, is there monitoring those discussions, so we'll get more from him on that. But he's also touched on the country's electricity crisis, saying that the party is planning a national shutdown on the 20th of March. But let's take you back now to those proceedings.
Number 2.
Thank you very much. I wonder who's that senior counsel. Mr. Malema, on the issue of local government, how many municipalities, basically roughly, that you've spoken about in KwaZulu-Natal that you'll be putting motions, or you'll be supporting motions of no confidence against the IFP in? Who are the parties that you are engaging with in that particular province? In the last engagement we saw the SG and the Deputy President, Floyd Shivambu, if I'm not mistaken, engaging with the ANC KZN officials here at your national headquarters. What were those discussions on? Were the resolutions on those particular municipalities? Thirdly, on Umhlathuze, you had put a proposal to the IFP that you want to govern Umhlathuze municipality. What did the IFP say? And why did they particularly say refuse you that opportunity for you to govern that municipality? Lastly, why did you, when you entered into a voting agreement with the IFP, not have terms and conditions in place for your deputy mayors to be given responsibilities? Currently in Umhlathuze, your provincial secretary is the deputy mayor of that municipality, has no function, has no responsibility, just has bodyguards and a title. Thank you.
Number 3.
Thank you so much. My name is Govin Whittles from Newsroom Africa, Channel 405. Just on the issue of the IFP, was it a specific reason why the negotiations collapsed? Did they refuse to do something? Was there a request from the EFF side that they didn't accede to, or was it generally the attitude of the IFP towards the EFF in government? That comes to the question. Now that you've announced your intention to remove the IFP from all of these municipalities, is the door closed for a renegotiation with the IFP and a reversal of the EFF's decision to work with them? Regarding Gauteng, does the EFF still have an agreement with the ANC for Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg? When the motion of no confidence in the Speaker is held in Ekurhuleni, the EFF has indicated it will support that motion to remove the Speaker. Will the EFF be fielding a candidate there? Or do you want the mayorship there? Could you please indicate when you intend to go on to the national shutdown, the terms of the national, or the intention of the national shutdown would be unprecedented? How do you envision negotiating with the law enforcement towards that date now that you've announced it so early? Are you going to apply for any permission, or are you just going to shut it down? And then how would you approach the private prosecution of the mineral resources of Gwede Mantashe in his personal capacity, I suppose, regarding Bosasa, considering the absence of that nolly prosecute certificate for now? Thanks.
Thank you very much, President.
No, thank you very much. On the behavior of the senior counsel, just be rest assured we are watching him. It's him. We're watching him close. One mistake, he shall be released. We are giving him an opportunity to redeem himself from being a sellout of human rights to being a rep of the establishment. I read the list, Samkelo. I think you'll get it there, of the municipalities that were going to vote against the IFPs in our statement. And we're speaking to all parties in KZN, including the IFP of late. We're speaking to the NFP. We have spoken to the ANC. And, you know, something that makes us more comfortable is to give the leadership responsibilities of these municipalities to smaller parties when it comes to mayors. If we can't find each other with the ANC, because we are refusing to serve under ANC mayors. We can't. Because we are totally opposed to ANC's corruption and their way of doing things. But we are willing to have a compromise from minority or small parties and then serve under those parties and help the mayor to realize the objective of delivering services to our people. And the ANC seems to be amenable to that sort of an idea where it's neither the EFF or the ANC, but a neutral body where everybody gets invited to come and make a contribution, because there was no winner. So where there's no winner, it means everybody must come in and make a contribution. We have tried many times with the IFP to get an agreement which assigned specific responsibilities to our deputy mayors. And that is one of the areas where we had problems with the IFP. And that we have said to the IFP, give us Mtlatuzi, and we're not fixated on Mtlatuzi. If you refuse, then you should give a counter offer. The IFP refuses with Mtlatuzi and does not provide a counter offer. And they said to us, they are done with us. They can't go beyond that. They are not going to give us anything. And we told them, if that is the case, we are agreeing to disagree and we're going to withdraw our support. And we had a very nice, a proposal, which IFP members must know, that we had said, because we can't find each other with the ANC on Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg, let's put a small party in Ekurhuleni, put a small party in Johannesburg, then put the IFP in Mogale City, so that we don't have all these cities in the Gauteng led by the DA. The IFP refused even the offer to lead Mogale City. That's how much they are so happy to be puppets of white supremacists of the DA. An offer that the DA never gave them. The DA doesn't give them anything, doesn't give Action SA anything, doesn't give anyone anything. The EFF at the beginning has always said, we want to work as opposition parties to oust the ANC. The DA, every opportunity they get, they push away the EFF. Look, we are a political party constituted by human beings. We too have feelings. And we can tolerate such nonsense to a particular extent, because we thought at some point they will come around. We thought at some point, even if it's not them, they may give Tshwane to Action SA. And we will be able to talk to Action SA and make an impactful, contribution in Tshwane. They are refusing to give the Action SA. Here in Johannesburg, Mpho Phalatse many times tried to reach out to us. Even a night before she was removed, a message came to me that Mpho Phalatse wants to meet. I said, I can't meet her in secret. If she wants to meet, we must release a statement that we are going to meet, me and her, in public. And I want to look at the face of Ugogo Zille, whether it will not turn pink or what, by such an initiative. Because I knew that she will only meet in secret. But her part, so I can't engage in secret engagement. I want open processes that the public will hold us accountable to. So Mpho was more than willing to work with the EFF, to accommodate the EFF so that Johannesburg remains in the hands of the opposition. Helen Zille refused because she doesn't care about this municipality being in the hands of the opposition and continuing to contribute positively in changing the lives of our people. So it's not like the EFF just woke up in the morning and said we don't want the DA. The EFF has been trying to reach out and we have been rejected, and that's why we find ourselves where we are. The negotiations with the IFP will never be closed. It's an opposition party with a history of collaborating with apartheid. But, you know, in a situation where there is no winner, we all come together to try and find solutions for the benefits of our people. Now, if they still want to talk, our door is open. But from where we are standing, remember the issues of coalitions, it's a permanent engagement. There is no day where you will say this matter is now closed. No, there will always be an engagement. The DA, more than willing to negotiate and give power to Patriotic Alliance, a party of well-known convicted criminals, Mapantiti, and then not ready to talk to us who have clean record and no history of being convicted criminals, and want to create an impression that their inability to engage with the EFF is because of some moral authority. If it was a moral authority, why do they even engage with extortionists? We said to the ANC in Gauteng, the business of the PA is your business. We don't talk to the PA. We will never negotiate with the PA because we know their intention is nothing else but for personal wealth accumulation. And therefore we are not interested. One of the leaders of the PA actually said to Floyd after the elections of 2021 that by the end of the year, well, personally would have made 200 million. Openly. They didn't hide it. That by so Gayton and them, when they talk money, they don't even pretend that they are there for money and nothing else. And these people go and we engage them and govern with them. And when it comes to EFF, when the EFF wants to work with the people who are in government, they say, why is the EFF working with these people? But the same standard of accountability are not attached to these other parties that are working with well-known, proud, convicted criminals. So, Ekurhuleni is the same approach. We are voting for, we're going to take the speaker. Yes. We're going to take the speaker, and then we're voting a minority party for mayor, and then we'll participate in the executive of Ekurhuleni. The same thing in Johannesburg, we voted for the minority party. We want all positions that were held by IFP, they are ours. They must come to us. Anything of the IFP is ours. So that's what we're going to do in Johannesburg. Anything IFP, any MMC that was given to IFP, we want it. Housing is ours. Because we want to give our people houses. So we have no problem, we have no confusion. Narmakile IFP. We gave it opportunity, it played with it, it shall be punished for that. We are no longer going to participate where we've got a voting and deciding power. We're not going to vote and not get involved. Because the people are becoming impatient with us on the ground. They are saying, show us what you have done. And the only way we can show our people what we have done is through governance. We have to participate in governance. National shutdown, 20 March. We don't apply for nothing. We can't apply for that which is given to us by the Constitution. It is our constitutional right to protest, and we shall protest on the 20th of March. Like Sharpeville, we're not scared of the state power. Let the state come with its power, will come with the mass power. So everything is going to come to a standstill. We don't want to see a single truck moving. We don't want to see a single train moving. We don't want to see a single bus moving unless it's taking people to the picket lines. The trucks and the trains, more in particular, Richards Bay. Those ones who are taking our minerals out of our country through Richards Bay. On the 20th, if you know what is good for you, park your trucks in your depots. Let the trains stop. Ramaphosa must step down with immediate effect. And our electricity must be returned. Victor is briefed to go and engage the NPA to charge Gwede. All of the evidence is there. If they don't want to charge Gwede, they must issue that non-prosecuting letter. And if they don't issue it, Victor knows the processes. We will approach the court to force them to issue that letter so that we can charge Gwede. There's no way, guys, there's no way with so much overwhelming evidence against Gwede that Gwede is not charged. And the evidence is not disappearing. If you go to Gwede's village, what is the Kala? Kala. Evidence is there on the crawls next to the animals, is cameras. You see the evidence is there. Gwede has never denied that Bosasa installed cameras. So why is the NPA waiting? So we want Gwede prosecuted. Because the arrogance of Gwede is what leads to the arrogance of the ANC. So much that it is now alleged that there is no deal you can make in mines and minerals energy without Gwede's wife. That's how Gwede has become arrogant and untouchable. Those who are involved in the minerals and energy strongly allege that Gwede's wife is the gatekeeper. And where does the wife of Gwede get such arrogance from? One of them was saying to me, allegedly, that she told him that the power lies at Gwede's house in this country. So we are not scared of Gwede. If these ANC thugs are scared of Gwede, we are not part of criminal. Gwede might have a good perspectives when it comes to coal, but it doesn't stop him from being a criminal suspect that must be accountable and answerable to the law enforcement. And Victor, a capable lawyer, is handling that. And that's how far we are. Thanks. I think I've dealt with all of them.
Yes, President. Thank you very much, President. We'll take the second and last rounds. Even those who are late will have an opportunity if they have a question. Second and last round, number 1, number 2, number 3, going, number 4, number 5. Thank you very much, President. Number 1.
Thank you very much. Touching on the issue of housing, there were black property developers who were complaining that where the DA governs, they don't get businesses or they don't get to build new establishments like new townships and stuff like that, because apparently, allegedly, the DA people do not want to move black people into their areas because they know that those people are going to vote for the ANC or the EFF. So just your thought on that. Thank you.
Number 2.
Mr. Malema, on the issue of Ekurhuleni, in the last council sittings of last year, your provincial chairperson, Nkululeko Dunga, was the candidate to be the mayor. But in your statement this time around, you say all of those whom were leaders in the legislatures whom lost out in the PPAs must resign, and leadership must be aligned with the leadership of the province. Are you saying that Nkululeko Dunga is now going to the legislature and will be resigning in Ekurhuleni? Who will you thus be fielding as the speaker candidate in Ekurhuleni? Thank you.
Number 3.
Thank you. It's Govan Whittles again from Newsroom Africa. In your initial statement, you had indicated you believe next year's elections will be a titanic moment for South Africa, where you do assume that the ANC will go below 50%. Will you be applying the same principle of voting for smaller parties to that strategy? Has the EFF now reached a possibility where it can get into a coalition with the ANC nationally? Is that something you're starting to think about even as a possibility? The decision to make this year's focus one of political education and voter registration, and then a call for intensive political education towards the EFF entering government, assumes that you're preparing your members to govern right now. Is there a need to upscale their capabilities, or you believe you already have the base to deploy across the country into government? And then could you tell us what kind of governing style the EFF, maybe just a short comment that we'll have?
All right, well, let's come out of that press briefing held there by the EFF. Of course, EFF President Julius Malema addressing the media and answering several questions. As I said earlier, our senior reporter, Samkele Maseko, is there. We will get more feedback from him in terms of what else was spoken out outside of that plenum.